Israel is facing increasing isolation over the mass deaths and famine in Gaza. The United States is standing beside its ally, offering unwavering support. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem today. Rubio heads next to Qatar in the wake of an Israeli strike targeting Hamas negotiators there. Today, Rubio said diplomacy may not work with Hamas, despite a new US ceasefire proposal offered just last week. Qatar is hosting an emergency summit of Arab and Muslim leaders to discuss the strike. The Qatari emir calls it treacherous and cowardly, saying it's impossible to deal with Israel's, quote, malice and betrayal. But Rubio wants Qatar to stay involved.
What role can Qatar play possibly in reaching an outcome here that leads not just to the end of this hostilities, not just to the release of all of the hostages, both living and deceased, not just the disarmament and elimination of Hamas, but also a better future for the people of Gaza, which isn't possible as long as Hamas exists, which isn't possible as long as 48 hostages are being held. And so we're going to continue to encourage Qatar to play a constructive role in that regard. We're focused because at the end of the day, no matter what has happened, these fundamentals still remain. There is still a Hamas, there is still 48 hostages, and there is still a war going on.
Rubio also defended Israel's expanding assault on Gaza City. Today, the tallest building there bombed into dust as the IDF escalates strikes on high-rises. The Palestinian Health Ministry says Israel is forcibly displacing residents toward what it calls overcrowded concentration camps in the south. CNN's Jeremy Diamond has more, and we warn you, his report has some disturbing images.
Gaza City trembles with each new blast. Lately, its residents have faced one strike after another. The reality on the ground is even more terrifying. Bloodied and shaken, the injured are rushed out amid swirls of smoke and ash. Wounded children carried once again into hospitals, ill-equipped to handle the rising tide of casualties that accompanies Israel's intensifying bombardment of Gaza City. More than 140 were killed here over the weekend, according to local hospitals. A wave of attacks that shook many here into fleeing the city. Sleepy children bundled into their parents' arms, essential belongings lugged by those forced to move once again. At daybreak, their numbers multiply. A mass exodus on a scale not seen in Gaza in many months. More than 100,000 people were displaced this weekend alone, according to Israeli military estimates. I'm coming from death, indiscriminate bombardments, martyrs in the streets, Mohammed says. It is a miracle we survived. Old and young press south towards an uncertain future. Those who can afford it pay to ride on top of trucks and trailers. For many here, this is not a first. They have been forced to pile their entire lives on top of cars and makeshift carts before. They have already lost so much, and they are exhausted. This man says 25 of his relatives have already been killed. I left only for these children. But I wish a rocket would hit me and I die and find comfort because this is not life, he says, his frustration rising. The hundreds of thousands who still remain in Gaza City will face much more destruction and loss as Israel prepares to send ground forces into the city in the coming days. Ahmed is inconsolable as he walks amid the rubble of another Israeli strike. A military evacuation order allowed him to escape with his life, but little else. The house is gone. Where will we stay? He cries. But he won't find any answers here. And so many others are asking themselves the same question. Jeremy Diamond, CNN.